So now we've got a backup of a backup of a backup, I think. That's exactly how we recommend our clients do it.
That's exactly.
Yeah.
We put the...
All right. So, Michael, Einbinder-Schatz. Schatz. I did it right.
Schatz.
You
passed your test today, dude. I've got a certificate I'm going to be sending out to you.
Can you tell I got nervous? Like I was like, wait, am I going to do it wrong?
I was on a radio show from a lawyer friend of mine in Northern California, and he practiced my name like 30 times. And then when he was going live on the air, he totally freaking butchered it. It was great. I had such a good laugh. I'm like, dude, you just practiced it way too much. You know?
Oh, that's too great.
Just like all the other Einbinder-Schatzes, you know.
Oh, that's too great. All right. So, that's fun. It gives me an audio monitor and eCam. Can you say something again?
Something again? I can say lots of somethings again.
All right.
I, of course, don't see what you're saying, but if you're grooving, if you're geeking out on it, that's a good sign.
I love geeking out. I got to turn that audio mode off because it says it's real-time audio monitoring, but then it's got like that half of a second delay. So I'm like, what? So
watch out for the
Yeah. So Michael, thank you so much for hopping on here with me. I'm sorry for those of you that are really confused, but Michael is graciously offered to be my guinea pig. He didn't even know he offered.
I did not.
Yeah. So Michael's my guinea pig because I want to get you guys the best quality everything that I possibly can. All right. So Michael, talk to me, man. You run Jobeca. I got to get my notes up again.
Jobeca Technology Group.
Yep.
Just like all the other Jobecas out there that run by an Einbinder-Schatz. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're an MSP. I mean, you want the skinny background? Or the not so skinny background. So we're an MSP based out of Bristol, Pennsylvania, which is in the Philadelphia suburbs. I've been in business since 1996. The company is named for my kids, Joshua and Rebecca, as I always like to say, a fact that they could care less about. I think on some level they like it, but they're at an age where that stuff just doesn't matter, and they're not interested in the business. So that's
what age are they?
That's not a bad thing. 25, and my daughter turned 23 this week. So my son Joshua is 25, and Rebecca is 23. And again, they're into their own thing, So, but my ex-wife and I came up with the name when she was pregnant with our daughter, and I was doing consulting. My first big consulting gig was with a big law firm in Philadelphia, and I'd been the network manager for a few years there, and then I decided to go out on my own, and they hired me right back as a consultant. The IT manager there loved consultants, and so he brought me back, and I was like making double what I made because I was getting paid by the hour, and of course I knew all the lawyers there, a few hundred lawyers, and I stopped into one of the intellectual property attorneys going, I'm MES Consulting Services, and that's such a stupid name. And she's like, yeah, that is stupid. And we just sort of brainstormed, and she said, pick a word that's not real. And so then my ex and I were riding around and playing around. Why don't we name it for the kids? And, we didn't even have Rebecca at that point, but we knew we were having a girl. So it was like, Bojecka, right? Becca Joe Becca. And it was like Jobeca. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's the name. And,
see, and I couldn't do that as great as you accomplished it with your kids' names. Like, my kids are Genevieve and Ulrich. So, I mean, I could do, Jenna and then like do the end of Ulrich. So then it would just be like generic technology services.
Yeah. Or Generic, like Rent-A-Rec.
Yeah.
But you could also do All Vive. Lviv. It sounds very
Oh, that sounds French.
cosmopolitan and French. Yeah,
Yeah.
it does.
It makes it sound like I offer fancy things to my clients.
You could. You could. We provide the best mouse pads.
Oui.
Anyway, oui.
That's the extent of my French, guys. Sorry.
So that's the skinny on the company. I mean, we're small, 6-person MSP. We have 5 people here in the States. We have one outsourced offshore engineer in India who I just got to meet when we were there in February. And we're working with the folks at IT by Design there. Great team. And my team here is fantastic, although I haven't seen any of them in a long time. So I'm assuming they're fantastic. They're still doing a great job, but you're
still paying them. So, I mean,
wait, I'm supposed to pay them? I had no idea.
Yeah,
I thought this was a hobby.
Yeah. So
yes, we're still everyone's still getting their paychecks. So
that's good.
It's a good thing, and we're actually busy, so that's a good thing too.
So I'm just going to dive right into to the question everyone wants to know the answer to. Did you sign up for the EIDL or the PPP grant/loan stuff?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got our PPP loan came in a couple of weeks ago, I guess. I'm hoping it's not a loan. We'll see. I think my math was really good on that. I spent a lot of time on it, and I had an interesting experience going through it. So I'm in Robin Robbins Producers Club, and my accountability group that I'm in, which is captained by one of your former guests, Al Alper. He's my captain.
Okay.
But he is a good guy. We have a guy in our group who's like a financial genius, just in terms of knowing the machinations and how to get things done. And he was like, the first day he was saying, okay, go to this online loan center, and this is where you're going to want to go and apply, and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, yeah, that's great, Paul. But, the value of the banking relationship, I'm at TD Bank, and my manager there is fabulous. And she is, by the way. I just want to say I have a fantastic branch manager that I work with. But the key words there are branch manager, meaning the amount of pull she has is like what a gnat has, on an elephant's tail.
Nice.
I mean,
sure, she's
she does.
Gnat.
She's a very nice gnat, and she did an amazing job communicating with me. But the problem with the larger banks in many cases is, depending on how you look at it, and in some cases they were servicing the larger loan requests first and making sure the big players got taken care of. And in other cases, it's just simply a fact where larger organizations oftentimes have a lot of inertia to overcome. So it's really hard to do something seemingly simple like get a web portal up where you can accept applications and communicate with your customers easily. So I'm waiting for my bank to get their portal up. In the meantime, and my branch manager is texting me 3 times a day with updates. And then finally, like a week and a half later, she goes, it's live. And I had everything prepared. She had already sent me what she had heard in the internal meetings, what they would need. And so, I'd spent the time like PDFing everything and getting it into a folder structure so I could just pull it down, blah, blah, blah. It goes live. I go in. I immediately start doing all the stuff. I find a bug in the portal. Of course, I would find the bug, right, where it had a drag and drop feature for uploading your documents, and it crashed the whole thing. And of course, there was no save as you go, so I had to start the whole thing over. And I said, all right, no drag and drop. And then I get to what I think is I've got everything in, and I have just one more page. And they wanted not 1 month or 2 months of payroll and bank statements. They wanted 15 months. And that meant that I then had to go out and get all those reports again in PDF and annotate, to clear them up. And it was a pain in the neck, but I got it done, and I got it done that same day. But in the meantime, my buddy, he had applied the week before. Oh, and all I got was a confirmation screen. It said, thank you for your submission. No tracking number, no nothing. So no email, nothing. 10 days, nothing. At the end of 10 days, I finally got the first notice, and then they were very good. They communicated. I got a call. I got some texts. I got forms to sign, and it only took a few days from that point. It wasn't terrible, but I'm just comparing it to my guy who knows this stuff, who always researches and reads and finds the quick way in. He found some online-only, no brick-and-mortar lending institution on the very first day it went live. He filled out the form. The next day, that lending institution called him with 3 or 4 questions, and the day after that, he had his money.
Wow.
48 hours. And I'm like, dude, I'm listening to you in the future. I don't care what you tell. Like, if he calls me and he says, eat this ground glass, chew on it, really good, I'm eating ground glass, you know?
So now, did you also fill out the EIDL, EIDL?
I filled that out, but it crossed in the mail, so to speak. And since that was going to be a draw against the PPP, I didn't get it, which is fine. So, and we had money. You know, we're not wealthy by any means, but our clients have not been impacted to a major degree at this point. Our conversations have all been about extending services to remote, helping them solve problems, helping them solve business issues. It hasn't been about, relief or anything of that, which is encouraging. People are still doing business, and our nonprofits even are still helping, are still helping their clients, which is critically important.
So one of the things that I have heard recently, and you know how the rumor mill works. So one of the things I recently heard is that if you accept the PP loan and you don't actually need it, you're in trouble.
I haven't heard that. I've heard that if you accept it, you better spend it on what you say you're going to spend it on.
Well, that I heard was simply just to get the forgiveness. But if you weren't worried about the forgiveness, like my understanding was apply for it. It's a 1% loan, just go get yourself a loan. Right. But then, it's like they keep changing the rules. Like now they're saying, as of a few days ago, they're only accepting agricultural requests for those EIDL funds.
That may be true. I have one of my superpowers is the ability to completely tune out anything that isn't important to me at that moment. So once that PPP money showed up in my bank account, I did not concern myself with anything about the rules, the regs, or any of that changing. And I say that tongue in cheek a little bit, but also, I only have a certain amount of bandwidth. I'm running a business. I'm trying to help our clients with their needs. I'm trying to use this opportunity to refine and retool what we do to provide more value to our clients and help them with where they're at now and also where I see things going and enhancing our offerings and how we offer them to our clients. So I'm not in big sales mode, but I'm looking at this as long-term sales opportunities that can grow out of this. And so with that bandwidth, I'm not I don't then worry about this agricultural thing, which may be true. I don't know. It wouldn't surprise me if they're changing the rules up all the time. Why not?
Yeah, you might as well keep it interesting, I say.
Yeah.
All right. So,
absolutely.
So you said you've thankfully stayed busy. So would you say most of your clients are considered essential?
I think many of them, to most of them, are providing essential services. Not essential in terms of keeping their doors open in Pennsylvania or New Jersey, but essential in terms of still being able to provide services. And again, I'm not diving into the weeds in terms of the definitions here. I just know that the law firms we have, while they may have to comply with the governor's orders not to go into the office, are still providing services for their clients. And that fits in line with what we've heard from many MSPs, out in the channel, that the early days at least were panic mode in terms of remote connectivity. How do we get up and working remotely and securely, and what efficiencies can we bring to bear? And my team was grinding it out like most MSP's teams were. I felt fortunate that we could do that because, as I've said to a lot of people, Steve, if there are a lot of really, really good MSPs out there, better than Jobeka, but they might be in the wrong segment. Like if they're servicing restaurants, let's just say, if that's their niche, restaurants and only restaurants, they're hurting. They may go out of business, unless they can pivot quickly. And we've just been fortunate that our clients have had to pivot to working remotely because they still have work to do, and they've needed to rely on us to help get that done. And also where I come in, because I'm non-technical, as we talked offline about that. I used to be an engineer, but I fired myself 18 years ago. My focus mostly is on having the strategic conversations with the clients. That's something I really enjoy doing. I like hearing about what their struggles are, what their challenges, what challenges they're going through, and trying to leverage my experience, not as an IT professional necessarily, but certainly some of that, but also as a business owner. Talked to a lot of other business owners over 23 years. Mm-hmm. And if I hear something fun and I geek out on strategy stuff, can I bring that to bear? And, there have been cases with, I was talking with a nonprofit client of ours about how they can find ways to use the technology that's out there to engage with their donor base, what kind of events they might be able to hold as virtual events and whatnot. And it was a lot of fun. We weren't talking about how the technology works. We were talking about what can you do with the technology. And most importantly, because this was a nonprofit like many others that had to cancel their gala, the biggest fundraising event, or a lot of those gala season is in the spring. How do you keep engaged with the folks who write the checks that help you keep it? Because they still believe in what you're doing. They just can't come out to a black tie event and write large checks and bid on things, So how would you find ways to engage? So we did a lot of strategizing on that. I had a couple of very good strategy conversations with a synagogue we work with about how they can do virtual services, and now we're actually offering them. We're giving them a bank of time that their congregants can use to help get connected in, so that they can attend virtual services. And again, I'm looking at it. We're helping our client engage with their customers, their congregants, and by the way, some of those congregants own businesses and whatnot. So it's a win-win-win. There's no quid pro quo. I'm not expecting X percent to say, hey, we should hire Jobeka, but it's more like if we can provide some value maybe to our client and to their clients, right? And it feels good.
Oh, absolutely.
Something we like doing. Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. So you said you fired yourself. So you were an engineer, and one of the things.
And then I sued myself. I sued myself afterwards, and I won for wrongful termination. I'm joking.
Oh. Excellent.
Sorry about that. I'm just, I'm a whack job. Will you help me out here?
No, it's okay. I just was confused at first. I love it though.
No, I know.
That's the kind of thing I would do. Because I would just, I'm going to sue myself today. See what happens. So you went to school for something other than being an IT engineer, though.
I went to film school. I have a film degree at Temple University. I'm from New York originally. I came down to Temple to study film. I love film. When I was getting ready to graduate, I think I just chickened out. I'm going to be honest. At 20, at 21, my next step, as I saw it, was to go out to LA and become a production assistant. And the going rate was about $50 a day then, for maybe 16-hour days, where if you were lucky, you got coffee for the producers and let them curse at you and stuff like that. I mean, that was how I envisioned it. I don't know that was totally the reality. And I didn't want to do that. I think I was just scared to make the next change. And so what happened was I ended up going to work for a videotape distributor. I convinced myself it was related because we bought and sold used videos. The video stores were booming at the time. And
they were all VHS, right?
Yeah, except I got to buy like 500 beta films that a company sold for like $1 a piece, and beta was the better format.
I've been told that. I just
Oh, yeah.
don't have any firsthand experience.
Well, it was an interesting decision that Sony made. Sony had the better format, and they thought that people would prefer quality over quantity. But JVC said, we're going to offer these 2-hour tapes. We're going to make the recorders operate in 3 different speeds. So 2, 4, and 6 hours. And that way people can record more. And the quality was terrible, but people didn't care. They wanted, everything from Price is Right up through Vanna White up through, whatever other shows were on one tape, all their daytime shows, let's say. And so in the end, VHS won out because they offered the convenience, ultimately going up to, I believe, an 8-hour tape. But I was able to buy those Betamax films, and I used Betamax player, and I had this amazing collection in the best quality you could get at that time. And this is pre-video disc even. So we were buying and selling used movies, and I convinced myself it was related to what I studied, when in reality I was a salesman, and that was cool. And then they computerized while I was there. They brought in a system running the PIC operating system. I don't know if you're familiar. It still exists. It's actually an operating system and a database all in one. Every time I say that, I want to say Shimmer is a floor wax and a dessert topping. But it's an old Saturday Night Live. But it's like it's an OS and a database. And I learned how to be a really good administrator of that. I wasn't a programmer by any means. And that got me interested. And we had a PC sitting in the corner somewhere with WordPerfect 4.1 on it. And I started teaching myself that. And then I left and I got a job at a large law firm as a trainer, and ultimately became a network manager. So, I realized I had some aptitude with it. I didn't like elements of it. I didn't like working in a law firm that everything I did as straight overhead had to be done in the middle of the night. There was always deals going on. If I needed to upgrade something or fix something, I had to come in at 2 a.m. And if I couldn't get, but if I couldn't get these two things to talk to each other at 2 a.m, as I've always said, I'm the kind of guy who cries in that situation. And there's real good geeks out there, and I mean that as a compliment, who thrive. 2 a.m, they can't get things to talk to each other, not a problem. They love that. I never loved it. So after I left and started my own company, I realized within a couple of years that I really didn't want to do the technical work anymore, but I liked working with the people. Going back to my days as a trainer, I really enjoyed that interaction. And so that was probably around 2000 when I hired my first employee and started working my way out of that end. And I don't think I've done any real technical work for 17 or 18 years at this point, truthfully.
So that's amazing, by the way. Now, since you went to film school, talk to me. Can you tell I've spent some time and money on my video here?
Absolutely.
So what do you see?
What do I see?
Yeah, like what do you, like you say absolutely. So as a, film connoisseur, what do you see when you look at my video quality?
Well, it reminds me of a combination of Birth of a Nation and Citizen Kane. Obviously, those are the films that come to mind, maybe with a little bit of Deliverance and Mean Streets in there. I don't know, dude. No, off air talking, you're interested in putting out something that has good audio and video quality. So that's a positive. I think the thing that's interesting to me is that in this day and age, with the internet, with the tools that are available in the internet and bandwidth and everything, is that anyone can publish. First, there was blogs years ago, right? That you could publish the written word, and now anyone can put out a pretty good quality, vlog, podcast, whatever, and finding different ways to engage with people. And I find that very, very interesting. I think the visual medium is fascinating and is a great way to draw people in and engage with them. Because as you know, and I think I think this was part of your description on your podcast, was about people wanting to do business with people they know, like, and trust.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can convey, I think it's far easier to convey that visually than in any other medium.
Absolutely.
And this is the best we're going to get these days, right?
It really kind of is, yeah. Now you being in Philadelphia area, I'm over by Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we're not too far.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked
Cleveland twice.
I asked earlier if you could like see anything. So basically, I upgraded. I'm no longer using a webcam. I've got this Sony Alpha 6400 camera that I'm using, and then I've got 2 key lights, so I'm able to give myself that nice cinematic. Are you talking to me, Michael? Like, that's right.
You got to ask yourself, Michael, do you feel lucky?
So I just, I'm trying to play around, and the reason I'm playing around with the lighting here is, it's kind of twofold. I also am the tech director for my church. Right. So I also have the joy of playing with all of this stuff while I'm there at the church, and I figure, all right, well, I mean, I might as well learn stuff that's going to help me with both. So
absolutely.
So yeah, I get to record the audio, the video. I get to set up the lighting. I get to do it all, man. So I might as well make it look good here too, now that I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and it does look good.
So I'm told.
No, and I think it's great. I mean, again, I'm still fascinated with the fact. I mean, I have a little Logitech. What is it? The 920. The $300 cameras that used to be $70.
Yep.
Before COVID-19.
Yep.
And I'm amazed at the quality there. But I am looking to do an upgrade myself at some point and get better tools, because I'm working with a friend of mine who's in Arkansas, and she and I are talking about putting together a podcast that's not related to tech, although there might be some peripheral tech content to it. And she's a radio disc jockey, so she's really all about having quality. So I'm like, all right, I'll buy the equipment I need to buy. Like, why not? I think it would be really cool. Now, I'm having trouble seeing the super quality now just coming across Skype compared to what I've seen on a couple of yours that I've watched, where I'm then able to watch and see the end result.
So that's the extra cool thing, is that, so I'm using this software called Ecamm Live, and so it's doing a local recording of me. And then I keep putting my hand on the keyboard here because I can switch. So I've got like a little virtual video switcher. So now I've got it full on me, and now I can switch it back to us. And then earlier when you were talking, I would switch it over to just you. I really, really like this split view that Ecamm offers, way better than what Zoom offers. That is.
What did you do? I was watching the one with Rob Ray, and were you just using the tool set in Zoom, or were you using your switching software then?
That was Zoom. Okay. So you were probably seeing it where sometimes it was full on Rob, and other times it was all three of us.
Yes.
So the one thing so if I had multiple guests here, I think I could have multiple displays.
Right.
Whereas, so I could have one that's just me and you, one that's just you and the other guy, one that's all three of us. Whereas with Zoom, it's either the person that's talking or all of the people that are there. Mm-hmm. And the person that's talking one is frustrating because, like, if sometimes when you're having a conversation with someone, you got to grunt every now and then for them to realize you're still there. So when I'm like, when I know exactly what you mean, Rob, and then it would switch over to me, and I'm just thinking to myself, why would you do that? Like, nobody wants to look at me. They want to keep talking to Rob.
I'm just reacting, right? I coughed.
Right. So I mean, that in itself, I feel like I've got a lot more control over with this. But I at least now have the ability to do local video of myself. So I can't make you look any better than what a, compressed digital video stream will look.
I look fabulous. What are you talking about? Got my quarantine beard on. I mean, this is all.
I gotta say, man, the quarantine beard works for you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I've been a goatee guy for years, but I just figured, it's the end of the world. Why shave?
Well, I'm in the why. I screwed up my beard. I've had a beard for like a decade, and I screwed it up a couple weeks ago because I was trimming it, and I'm getting so confused. I did a thing where I like down through here. I'm like, oh man.
Oh, yeah.
I like shaped it too hard, and I was like, just get rid of the whole thing. And I left, like, you can see the line of like where I left the goatee. This dang cat, she just really wants me to pet her. So now she's like, I think I'll crawl under the desk. I had to get rid of the beard for a minute, and and now it's already coming back. I just love that hair grows back so quickly for me. It's
amazing. It doesn't. I can't fill in a good beard. That's why I've done the goatee thing for years. A few years ago, I went with my kids to the American Athletic Conference basketball tournament up in Connecticut. We're big Temple fans, and the day we left or something, or the day before we left, I just went and I used my trimmer, and I don't know, like I brain farted or something. And instead of being on my normal number, it was like on a 1. I don't know how that happened, And, of course, it's one swipe and then you're done, right? I mean, it's done. Like, okay, what am I going to do now? Tick the whole thing off. And what amazed me was, because I've had a goatee 2 decades, maybe, I don't know, was like, I just looked so young, but I don't mean in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not meant to look young like that anymore. And it wasn't like young and virile and good looking. It was like young and geeky. And there was a guy, a UConn fan, who like tried to pick a fight with me that weekend. And I'm convinced that wouldn't have happened if I had the goatee. Not that I look like a badass, but I just must have looked so much more vulnerable, right?
I think I look creepy without any facial hair. I think that's the best way to describe it, is creepy. So, so there's that.
But now we're in this pandemic, Steve. I mean, think about it. Like I'm thinking maybe I should grow like an 18th century kind of, one of those beards that gets really long underneath, but shorter on the sides, or just big patches sprouting out. I don't know.
Well, I
I'm gonna have to figure this out.
I thought about, shaving this off too when I screwed up the beard. So I just had this like big handlebar mustache. I thought about it, but then I'm like, oh man, I still have these recordings. I better not look like a complete douchebag on these recordings.
I want like the Sam Elliott beard, but it's like you are not Sam Elliott, Michael. You don't have, you can't pull that off,
Yeah, there's just no way. All right, so
are you from Cleveland originally? I'm just dying in that area.
Yeah, I grew up in the Cleveland area. We moved around a lot. Like it was really fantastic because, I mean, looking back, it was really fantastic. At the time, it sucked. I was sick of having to get all new friends because we'd move from like one suburb to another, and then a couple of years later, we'd move again. But what was happening was my mom, like, she worked at Teledyne, which, if you're familiar with Waterpik, it's made by Teledyne. But back then, she worked at Teledyne in manufacturing, and I don't remember what they made. I was 5, 6 years old, but she'd worked there for like 17 years or something crazy like that. And they finally decided to shut down the Teledyne plant in Cleveland. But while she was there, she just kept like moving up the ladder. And so like, when I was born, I think she was just still some like second or third shift, machine operator. And then by the time she left there, she's like a supervisor or manager or, something fancy. And then, so throughout the years while she's working there, we just kept moving into a nicer place. Like I remember being in kindergarten, we lived in an apartment, and it wasn't a terrible apartment, but it wasn't the luxury apartments down the road. It was the apartments. And I remember those, like they're still there. Same apartments, same crappy interior, same layout. Like, I saw, I almost moved into them when I was like 20. I'm like, no, I can't do it. But, so we were there, and then we moved to luxury apartments, and then we moved to a house. We were renting a house, and then we moved to a house that she bought. She bought the model home. And then we moved to a bigger house. So like every time we moved, it just, we kept doing better and better. So, I mean, looking back, I'm like, really, really proud of her, because single mom, single parent, she had a lot going against her, and she made it work, man. But now she lives down in Dallas, Fort Worth area.
So, really?
Yeah, so I don't get to see her much these days. Especially, with we've got 2 kids, my wife and I, and my mom is a germaphobe, and she's like, I hate kids. They're sticky. so
yeah, I hear you.
I'm like, hey, can we come visit? And she's like, no. Like, are you sure? She's like, oh, I'm positive. Thanks, Mom. So,
yeah, there's that. I get it. I totally get it.
So one of the things that I started doing, and I'm curious to hear what your take is, in the last month-ish, I started actually using that Robinhood account I signed up for a year ago, because I figure, we're in this economic crisis. I might as well buy some stock, right? So I've been playing around, and today I'm up nearly 13%.
Really?
Yeah, I think I'm doing it right. And for the week, I'm up nearly 21%.
So you're speaking something I'm not familiar with. So I'm going to play dumb. Robinhood account.
So Robinhood is like one of those, like, E-Trade or TD Ameritrade.
Oh, yeah.
Like one of those stockbroker type things. So you can go to robinhood.com. Michael, right now is the time to sign up.
Really? Well, sign up, right? Do you have an affiliate number you want to give me that
Absolutely.
I can get credit?
I will give you an affiliate code, and you'll get free stock. They'll give you 1 free stock. There. But no, in my opinion, like, we're in a freaking economic crisis. Why wouldn't you want to take advantage of that? Like right now, Ford is $5.24 a share. Like you could buy 100 of those, and if we look at what was Ford, here I'm going to look at the year. So this time last year they were 1038. So they're going to survive this, That's right. That's one of those companies. It's like, this is a no-brainer. Of course they're going to survive this. So, I guess where I'm at is, dude, go get on there and buy some stock. Like, look at what things were, look at what things are. Make sure you're not buying a company like J.C. Penney that's declaring bankruptcy. you know, um, get on there and buy some shares, man.
So my take
Just
on this
money.
is a little different. And I don't think there's anything wrong with doing what you're doing. I applaud you for it. I dabbled in the market in the late 90s, and I actually did really, really well with modest amounts. My business was new. I've run a lifestyle business my entire business career, which is not a positive thing. In fact, sometimes I like to say, yeah, it was a crappy lifestyle business, which means, I didn't have my eye on maximizing profitability by doing things in a way that drives the most value. I didn't value what we were doing enough. But to get back to the question at hand, I had discretionary cash, and I bought some things that just like I bought eBay like really inexpensively, and it just exploded. And I bought eBay. Like eBay was one of those things where I just got it. Like I saw it, and I collect. One of the things I don't have very many collections anymore, but I collect Mad magazines. So this is Mad number 6 from 1953.
Okay.
And so I went on eBay in 1998 or 99, and the first thing I did was look up Mad magazines, and I realized, my whole life had been hoping that I would find a magazine or a comic store somewhere that might have Mad magazines, right? And if they did, they might have 4 or 5 of them. Here's a marketplace that I can go on and look up anything. And so I got it. Like I instantly got it and saw the value there because it was a distribution shift. And so I bought that and I made some money. But circling back to what you're talking about, I also bought a couple of things that were dogs. Like I bought Lucent, I remember. And I bought it at 50 and then it went to 40. I'm like, oh, that's going to come back. And then it went to 30 and then, and I bought more and more and more. And it wasn't a ton of money. But, eventually it was like $2. And I'm like, yeah, I think that was just a big freaking mistake. And I realized, and I talked to you about this earlier. Back? Yeah, done. But for me, the key thing I value in myself is that I have to recognize my own limitations of bandwidth. Like, in order for me to do what you're doing, I have to know ahead of time that I'm going to put in enough time to A, do the research, and B, keep on top of it. And I'm not so convinced at this point in my life that I want to do that. So I'd rather hire somebody, and frankly, then what they put me in is the most boring thing in the world, mutual funds, right? Boring. Like, I don't check that stuff. I just know that when things started tanking down, they started moving stuff around. Now they're buying more, dollar cost averaging, blah, 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 blah. And I just trust that between what they're doing and hopefully driving my business to grow is going to put me in the right position. But I'm not active enough to manage a stock portfolio. It just doesn't interest me enough. Gotcha. But I get what you're doing, and I applaud you for it. I really do. I'm not denigrating it in any way.
Oh, see, and I'm having fun with it too. Like,
that's cool.
I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. So I'm also trading options. So I think I what's that phrase? Fell in the shit and came out smelling like roses.
Something like that. Yeah, landed in shit.
Yeah. So I bought some options. It cost me $281. I bought them today, and it cost me $281. And because the stock is up so high, it's now worth $450. So it's just like, and I think the stock is just going to keep going up. It's Ford. They announced that they're starting their production again in a week and a half, something like that, 10 days. So because of that, now people are like, oh, I guess Ford's worth money again. So now the stock value keeps going up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, let's see how high this could keep going. Make daddy some money.
Hey, enjoy. I got one word for you, Steve. Plastics. You're much younger than me, so I'm using these that film is from 1967, but I like to think everyone's seen The Graduate,
I haven't. There are so many films.
That's like a key line in The Graduate, Dustin Hoffman's first film. He's graduated from college. They're throwing him a big party, and one of his dad's business executive friends pulls him out by the pool. He says, Benjamin, got one word for you. Plastics. Because the plastic industry was huge in the late 60s, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was a newer thing.
I was born in 1983.
Yeah, so you're 20 years younger than I am. You're a kid.
Yeah.
You youngsters.
Yeah. So here's the kitty that just won't stop until I pet her.
Nice. Very nice. What's her name?
Her name is Izzy. And she likes long walks on the beach and tuna juices and being pet.
Very nice.
Rock her like a baby.
Yep, we're in between cats.
What was that?
We're in between cats right now. We have a dog. We have a psycho dog.
See, we had a dog, and we found that dog a new home. And it's not like, oh, it's in a farm upstate. Like, it actually is in a farm upstate. Like,
right.
And that dog, we miss that dog, and we want to have a dog again. But then, at the same time, we're like, I don't really think I can commit to picking up dog crap for another 15 years. And all the destruction in the house and the separation anxiety that dog had, it was bad, man. That dog, we loved the dog, and he was so loyal and faithful and loved us, and was so gentle and sweet. But as soon as we left the house, he was a freaking nightmare, because he was just terrified. As soon as we left, he was terrified.
Well, there's no separation anxiety these days, that's for sure. Our dog's getting spoiled because we're here every day. But I can take my dog into the office if and when. I've taken her in many times in the past. And I could technically be going into the office now. Our office building is empty, and no one's coming into my office. But the truth of the matter is, I love rolling out of bed and being right here at work, and not having to drive 20 miles and pay a toll to get into my office. So when I need something, I go there. But depending on how long this continues, I may choose to break it up by going in more often, just to break things up a little bit, vary the routine.
What if, and this is a crazy idea, I know, what if you said, we don't need an office?
That's not a crazy idea at all. That's something we're talking about. I won't share your podcast with the owner of our building. But all kidding aside, there's going to be a huge impact on the commercial real estate market because so many businesses are realizing that they can deploy a larger remote workforce. And why do we have to pay these rents on commercial real estate? Now, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of things I love about having an office. We're in a 100 to 150 year old mill building in Bristol, right on what used to be a canal. There's a 75-mile canal that runs from the Delaware River all the way up to Easton, Pennsylvania, which is where the Crayola factory is. And that used to be the major artery on how you would get goods to and from the interior into the Delaware River. And these are with tow paths for the mules on both sides. What they did in Pennsylvania is they filled it in 9 different areas. Like right behind our building, they filled it in, I don't know when, many years ago, to build an elementary school, because it's trucks changed everything. So, but it's this incredible mill building. We had an architect come in and we worked closely with him 10, 11 years ago to design a space that combined the old and the new. So it's got a really unique, interesting look. But my folks have been working at home for years, not full time at home, but I have like my senior most engineer, my longest tenured engineer is someone I worked with at the law firm many years ago. He's been with me. Next month will be 20 years.
Wow.
And he lives 40 miles away. So why would I have him come to our office? He comes up every Wednesday. We have our level 10 pulse meeting. I don't know if you're into traction, but every Wednesday we have our meeting. He comes up and he spends, 2/3 of the day up in the office. We have our meeting. There's some huddles and mind melding and all that kind of stuff that goes on. And other than that, he works from his home office 40 miles away, or he services clients that are in, a couple of county area that he's closest to. One of my other engineers needs to leave at 2:00 every day to pick up his son at school. He's been with me 10 years. His wife works for the state and can't leave work early. So I know that at 2:00 he's going to leave, pick up his son. By 3:00 he's back on the boards. It's very, I care about having engineers that are a little, I say this tongue in cheek, but a little codependent. They do what needs to get done for the clients. They care and they work to completion. They're not bound by the clock, but I also don't bind them to the clock. If they need to leave, they have a medical appointment. Nobody who's worked for me has ever had to miss a meeting with a teacher or a kid's sporting event or any of that stuff. And working from home is just a part of that. That's a fringe benefit that we give at Tribeca, that they can work at home, because I see them getting the job done and I see it reflected in our CSAT. And the feedback we get when we talk to our clients, that I know that the engineers are doing a good job. So for that reason, I am using this period and thinking very seriously, like, what are our long-term needs going to be? Is it just a vanity space? I think there's power and benefit to bringing your team together. Certainly, there's a lot of good ideas that get presented. But as the communication tools continue to evolve, we're doing more and more on Teams every single week. Maybe we just need a space where we can come together and have our meetings once or twice a week. Or if we need to meet with a client. I don't know.
And at that point, I mean, you can have meetings at freaking steakhouse.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Listen, one of my other members of my accountability group in Robin Robbins Producers Club, he has about a $4 million, maybe a $5 million a year MSP based out of Atlanta. He doesn't have any offices. Everyone works from home. He's running a $5 million MSP all from home, and it's working out. Now he's got a tool set. He's got strict policies and procedures. He's got everything in place that makes that work. And you better believe I'm looking at these models and I'm thinking about what peers of mine that are successful, that are doing things differently, I like to look at and watch and observe and take notes and let the stuff percolate a little bit, And so your point is well taken, and I think a lot of people, Steve, are going to be asking themselves that question.
Well, that's good, because I think it's a fair question to ask. It's 2020. We've got hover cars and hoverboards like those. Basically it's exactly like we expected it would be in Back to the Future. So Back to the Future 2, right? That's
yes.
The one where he goes to the. So,
I think so.
Yeah. So obviously I'm kidding, guys, but it's 2020. Internet's good enough. I mean, there were a couple times where your video and audio kind of froze. We'll see how it all lands, right? But yeah, just like that. But I don't see anything wrong with not having an office. I used to be all about, oh, you got to have an office and you got to have a conference room and you got to have this and that and you need a. So I had a really really great office. I had a really sweet deal on this office. I had a lobby with a leather sofa, an Italian leather sofa.
Mm.
It was my buddy's college sofa. I don't want to know the answers. Please don't ask the questions. I had a nice.
I'm not saying a thing.
I had a really nice TV, and then I had an office bigger than that freaking lobby for myself. And in that office, I had 4 monitors, and I had another ginormous TV behind me, and the nice L-shaped desk, and it was just fantastic office. And I had a nice meeting table, which ended up becoming like my son's Lego table or the lunch table. And
Right.
then I had a third room, and that was the tech lab. Let me tell you, man, that tech lab got used 3 times, maybe 4. It was mostly storage. I had so much crap too. When I finally got rid of that office, and I basically did like this big come buy some random stuff for me sale on Facebook. Like it was like the weirdest open house / garage sale anyone's ever been to. And yeah, I sold all of it, and I made some pretty good money that day because I had a lot of junk, man. I had, Yealink phones, Grandstream phones, Cisco phones. I had like
Mm-hmm.
19 Dell computers, some HPs, all those monitors. Like I had so many monitors in that tech lab. Like it was insane. I have a problem when it comes to technology because I see the value in what it was at one time, not
Mm-hmm.
the value of what it would actually cost today. So I find
Yeah.
myself to be like a technology hoarder. Um, and I also like to buy things that I'm sure I'll need at some point, like really nice bags to give my clients when they get a new laptop from me.
Right.
I had 100 pack of these things. Um, I had 2 Dell color laser printers. And I got to tell you, that Dell printer was probably my favorite laser printer I've ever owned. I had 2 of them. Now I've got a Lexmark black and white. It's tiny. It's over there. It's not even plugged in. I finally bought it during this pandemic because my kids needed to be able to print stuff. The library's
Yeah.
closed. Like that's like the last time I needed to print something was like months ago. And I was like, I'll just go to the library. Like, who cares? I get 20 free pages a day. Why wouldn't I just go to the library?
We print stuff all the time. I finally broke down a couple of years ago and got an office jet when they combined when they separated the print head out from the ink refills, and it drove the per page cost lower than laser.
Huh.
And it works. It's fine. My girlfriend is always printing. She's a teacher. She's always printing too many pages for her kids. I'm like, you don't need to print all that. You could just send them the PDF files.
Women, man. Aren't they great? Like, we couldn't live without them.
PDF files or women? I'm just like,
I know better than
sometimes I think I can't live without PDF files. But so yeah, you're reminding me because we have our office is L shaped, and
now hold on.
You
said I'm reminding you. Are you saying you forgot what your office looked like? It's been so long.
No, but you were reminding me about how we use our server room, similar to like your tech lab, because when we went into the space, it's about 11 years now. I was all in on having this server room that you could see through our glass doors. So you come in and the glass doors are facing this way, and then right off to the right at a 90-degree angle were the glass doors to the server room. And we had a rack right in there, and we had all our equipment sitting there in the rack because I wanted people to be able to look in and see a bunch of blinking lights, right? And then go, oh, that must be an important company, right? They know their technology. Look at all those lights. And now there's an empty rack there, right?
Oh,
I mean,
boy.
it's got a UPS sitting in there, and switches and whatnot are facing the back. Everything's in the cloud. And what do we do in that server room? We
Store a bunch of junk you don't actually need?
Yeah, I had benches built in there because the idea was anything that has to be done technically should be done in this room, whether you're configuring PCs for a client or fixing something or whatnot. And we do so little of that now. Basically, it's a graveyard for machines that are awaiting recycling, while we do the data destruction and whatnot. It's like,
And I was the same way, like tech lab. If I'm going to work on a customer machine, I'm going to do it in the tech lab. I'm like, man, I didn't want to do that. My computer's in a different room now. Like, I got a big L-shaped desk. I'll just do it right here at my desk. Why am I doing this in a tech lab?
That's right. That's right.
And now the desk is L-shaped. But you know what my desk is? Check this out.
I think I know what your desk is. Are you in this? Oh, check that out.
Yeah, fancy, right?
Yeah, I thought you were lowering your chair, but you were raising your desk.
I was raising my desk. So now I'm standing.
Yeah, I need to get one of those because I have back issues.
I do too.
Now, the one you did with Rob, you were in your dining room. Are you still in your dining room?
I'm not. I was in my living room.
Living room.
And that's so the way this house is laid out, it's got a really oddly shaped living room. So we only are able to use half of the living room. So the other half was empty. So I was like, I'll just put my desk here. Who cares? I work. The kids are at school. If it's summer, go out and play. I don't want you here. But right now, I can't do that. So we ended up, I have no idea how my wife accomplished this. She was like, we need to change something. Cause she's like, I don't know what to do because you're scheduling all these recordings and meetings. Today I had 2 podcast recordings, this one and one earlier, and 2 meetings with peer groups and a meeting with a client that I'm doing a website for. So that's 5 meetings. I was literally in meetings from 8 in the morning until whenever we're done, which, could be 5, could be 6, who knows, right? Could be 9. Won't be 9.
Yeah, I hear you.
So whenever I was in one of those recordings or meetings, she and the kids would each go to their bedrooms.
Right.
And, the kids would do schoolwork or she would, watch TV or play on the Chromebook or, whatever. Right. And she finally said, I can't take this anymore. Why do you have to kick us out of the house? I'm like, because my desk is in the house. So then I'm looking at, what if I bought one of those sheds and then completely outfitted the inside of this shed and, finished the walls and the floors and insulated it and, turned this thing into a little mini, like the tiny homes. I want a tiny office.
Right. Right.
So then I'm looking at this and I'm like, shit, this is going to cost me $15,000. I'm like, I'm doing all right on the stock market, but I'm not doing that well. So then I'm like, all right, what are my other options? All right, what if, and this is a crazy idea, honey, what if the daughter and son shared a bedroom for 6 months? And she's like, are you crazy? You want a 14-year-old girl and a 7-year-old boy sharing a room? I'm like, yeah, I guess. We can have him share a room with us. What do you want from me? So
what'd you decide?
So my wife made it happen. She was able to fit my desk in our bedroom.
Really?
So this door is the door to our closet. I'm not in the closet. The closet's in the closet.
You're out of the closet.
I'm out of the closet, guys. Okay.
Okay, gotcha.
So you've heard it here first. I'm out of the closet.
Not that there's anything wrong with it, but anyway.
I was never in the closet. I was.
So that's cool. That's cool. I mean, we have a shared office space here that I use most of the time. Susan has converted our dining room into her classroom for her students.
Okay.
And her older son is home from her younger son is home from college. Works either in his bedroom, which is right yonder on the other side of the wall over here, or he works in the basement.
Okay. So, well, see, like we don't have a basement. This home would be perfect if it had a basement. That is literally okay. No, it would be perfect if it had air conditioning in a basement. It has one of those weird house fan things. You ever have a house with a house fan?
Yeah.
I never knew those existed until I moved into this house. Michael, this is the oddest thing. So we rent because we're not handy, and I break everything I touch. So we just want a landlord we can call, and we got a fantastic deal on a beautiful house in a wonderful neighborhood. A mortgage would cost me more, but he bought it during the last Great Recession. He paid cash because I'm pretty sure this guy was in the mafia.
And having a mafia landlord is a good thing, I've heard, Yeah,
maybe.
I'm joking. Don't be you never late on your rent, right?
Well, the weirdest thing is we pay like in cash. Like
no bundles, unmarked bills only. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, I mean, we have a paper trail, but there's not like an official paper trail.
Right.
He sent me a text message one day. He's like, "You gonna pay my rent?" I'm like, dude, I paid your rent 9 days ago. What are you? He's like,
yeah, I left it at the usual dead drop spot, right under the fish market. What do you mean you didn't get it?
Like that is literally almost exactly what happens.
That is too funny.
So we but we love the place. He's a really nice guy. He really is. I mean, I tease, but he is just a genuinely a nice guy. And yeah. So we're here. We have a weird house fan that 3 years ago I didn't even know these things existed. But there it is.
They draw all the air up and cool the house down, right?
Yeah, it's so weird. So weird.
It is weird, but it's a functional technology from another day. In the meantime, if it's hot enough, you have window units, right?
We do have window units. One for the bedroom, which will be great because I'll have my own private air conditioning in my office this summer.
There you go.
And then one for the rest of the house, which it works fantastic. Now, one thing, we're going to switch gears here completely.
Sure.
One thing that I'm really confused about is looking at our recording. Your audio is 52.17 megabytes. My audio is 66.45. What?
Of course, I don't have those details in front of me. I just see the wave.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're talking that much more than I am? I don't think so.
I didn't think so. But it is genuinely concerning. Anyone talks more than me. Let's find out. You talk for a while. Just talk about it.
Well, ask me a question now.
So Michael, what would you say is the biggest factor to the success of your MSP?
I would say without a doubt, it's the people that I have. But if I'm looking at my own leadership style, of which there have been many fits and starts along the way, and is still at 23 years of work in process, I think it's the ability to be vulnerable with my team. So when my ex and I split up a number of years ago, we did so because I got involved with somebody. And it was something of which I was not proud, but it's something that does happen. Mm-hmm. And we got together, my team and I, for our normal Wednesday meeting. Same meetings we're having now, but we weren't doing traction level 10 meetings. And they knew that I had moved out. I told them that, but I was at sort of a crisis point. And I sat them down on this day and said, I didn't, my ex and I didn't just break up. I didn't just move out. I was a piece of shit, and I hurt the people that mattered most to me. And it's having an impact right here, not just on me, but on the company. You can see what's happening. You can see the impact that it's having. And I need your help. I need everybody's help to make this right. Because I'm not at my best. And I wasn't. I was at a pretty low point. And I think what I learned that day, and this is like 10 years ago, Steve, I think what I learned that day was that there was a power in being vulnerable, that I was comfortable enough with my teammates that I didn't have to hide behind the polish of everything is okay and here's the best spin on everything. I told them what was going on. I told them the ugly, and they were there for me. And I think it's because there's a power in vulnerability. And everyone who was in the room that day, save my administrator at the time, who left a few months later, but everyone, all my engineers who were in the room today are still with me 10 years later. We had our best year last year. We broke through that 7-figure barrier for the first time ever, and profitable, and we had years in there where we weren't. I still have a lot of work to do in that area. But I think my takeaway on that was that I have the ability to be vulnerable, and I can, if I say use that vulnerability or leverage it, it makes it sound manufactured because it isn't. But I have the ability to be real. So I think what I bring to the table as a leader, and this is something I've done a number of podcasts and webinars in the last few weeks where the subject has been leadership during crisis. I guess that's an area people want to tap into me for. I mean, it's kind of humorous, but I'm self-reflective enough to see the value there is that vulnerability can be a central tenet in leadership. You don't have to be strong all the time. If you have built and invested in good people and have that right kind of interaction with them, they will have a natural level of empathy and want to do well to help us all succeed. And I think the thing that manifested, I want to tie together COVID-19 because we do a daily huddle every day. First thing in the morning.
You do a daily huddle every day?
A daily huddle every day, yeah. And we meet at the Department of Redundancy department. But That's where we have our daily huddle every day. So yeah, we do daily huddle. We do our daily huddles.
I just love
And
teasing people for like simple grammar. Like
yeah,
my
I
favorite
thought
one
that
to get people on is when they're like, you know, we do like you said do.
dude.
Like, no, we do. That's you don't do something, you just do it. Like
That's right. That absolutely. So we were in the first week of working from home exclusively, and I noticed the energy level was really dropping on our call. Like everyone sounded really stressed. And these huddles are supposed to be like 10 minutes, right?
yeah.
Here's what I'm doing. Here's where I need help. We also have a win. Everyone has to present a win from the previous day.
Oh, that
Something
sounds
good that happened. I learned that from Peter
lovely.
Berleza. He's a MSP in Connecticut, good friend of mine. And he probably learned it from someone else, that everyone, because we get too often, we're just stuck in that thinking of, I'm just plodding through my days, but we have a lot of things to be thankful for every day,
Absolutely.
even in the middle of a pandemic. And so by making everyone think of that, it can change the culture and the energy of the company. So I noticed the energy was flagging, and it was like a Thursday or Friday. And I said, guys, forget about the 10 minutes. Here's what I'm hearing. Tell me what's going on. And people were stressing. They were a little freaked out. They were scared. They were this, they were that. And we ended up talking for 45 minutes that morning, 45 minutes for a 10-minute huddle. But everybody got to share what they were going through, what their fears were, what their concerns were. And at the end of it, there was like this palpable sense of relief and increased energy and enthusiasm. And it powered up from there. Not that so-and-so doesn't have a bad day one day or someone's really struggling on other days, but our huddles are generally pretty good. We like to rip the shit out of each other. We make fun of each other. We joke around. I'm the kind of guy that's always looking for the humorous angle. I mean, if I have to lay the hammer down and talk to someone about something that didn't go the way it should have or whatnot, I'm capable of doing that. But I like to bring some levity and humor to as many situations as possible. And I think at the end that the reason that all works for me and for the team at Jobeca is because of the vulnerability piece that they've all certainly been with me long enough that they know that what they see is what they get. So that's the number one thing. That was a long enough answer. Did I pass you in terms of how large my file is now?
No, but at one point we had a very similar number. So I think what's happening is it just takes a little bit. Like I get to see mine in real time, but yours, it's like uploading chunks at a time or something. It's weird. It's interesting. I like it. We'll see. So
I have a very simple voice. That's what it is. There's not much going on with my voice.
No, it's definitely not that, because like I said, at one point they were both the exact same number. So it just, I don't know. It just takes a little bit to catch up. So I think it's time to sit again. I'm done with that typing nonsense.
Yeah, I've been thinking about getting one of those. One of the guys in my peer group at our last virtual meeting, he was walking his desk treadmill the entire meeting.
Oh,
it was really weird watching someone go like this. I mean, he's not getting anywhere, right?
Right. See, that like almost sounds like a good time. Almost.
Yeah, it's not bad.
So the one thing that I found is that I don't stand as much as I should, but I got this desk because I'm slowly trying to work on my health.
Right.
And by slowly, I mean I want fast results without doing anything at all. Like typical people, right? So
yeah, we all want that.
So I'm working on my health, and last year I had a really bad muscle issue. So I got this, and it helps a little bit. It doesn't completely relieve everything, but it helps. So I love it, man. I spent probably way too much money on this. I could have bought one of the more cost-effective brands of standing desks.
What brand did you get?
I got an uplift desk, and I got like every bell and whistle I could think of. So I bought the nicer memory pad, where instead of just having an up and a down button, I can just press the number 1. Boom. And there we go. Now it's where I want it
It's
to be.
Preset to your exact standing height or sitting height. Yeah, that's
and
good
eventually
stuff.
I'll make presets for camera heights as well, so that way I can because like I would not want to use my desk where I've got it right now, because I've actually got it lower to get the camera closer to eye level. Otherwise I'd be looking way up here at you guys, and that'd be weird. But whoa, what just happened? Oh, okay. So yeah, I've got that. I've got the this little spinny drawer here off to the side. I've got everything clips to the desk. Everything that possibly can clips to the desk. So my microphone, this is mounted to the desk. There's not like a stand on the desk. My lights are all mounted to the desk. My monitor's mounted to the desk. So that way I can have as much desk space as possible. I have even mounted, because it's a standing desk, on wheels. I bought the wheels.
Of course, gotta have the wheels.
You gotta have the wheels.
Gotta have the wheels.
How else can I move it from the living room to my bedroom? Yeah, so I even mounted the subwoofer upside down to the bottom of the desk, so that way no matter what height I'm at, no matter where I move to, it's just there.
The perfect baseline moves with you. It doesn't. The perfect baseline doesn't just move you. It moves with you.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot. So,
I'm a jingle guy.
And then I've gotten. I use a lot of that. It's 3M dual lock. It's like Velcro on steroids. It practically never comes off unless you pry at it.
I know the stuff. That's the hard plastic one, right? That kind of locks into place. It comes with the
Easy Pass, yeah. That thing that you can't get off your windshield? Yeah, that thing?
Yes.
So
no, I pull that off and the whole windshield comes in with it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I used that. So I mounted like my little Thunderbolt 3 docking station, my audio interface. I just, I got surge protectors mounted underneath here all over the place. I have way too many.
You're geeking out on the uplift desk. I dig it.
I did, man. And then I bought, like I said, I bought every upgrade. So I've got the footrest where you can change the elevation. I didn't bring it in the room yet, but I've got this like really nice mat to stand on. If I had that in here, I would have been standing longer. Let me tell you that. And then I bought this thing. It's like a treadmill, but treadmill. It's like a wobble board. So, you know what I mean?
Oh, I know those.
It's like
you stand on it, but you got to get it's for your core.
Yeah.
Right.
So let me tell you
stand on it, but it's got to keep your balance while you're on it.
Yeah. So I never stand on that. But I bought it.
But you could stand on it if you wanted to. I have a colleague I know through my Chamber of Commerce, the immediate past president, who has one of those, and he was showing me. He has a standing desk, and he stands on that thing all day.
That's insane.
And he's ripped. He's like ripped, core wise. So,
and there's
very simple and impressive. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I won't judge them too much.
Have you seen those Facebook ads for those core exercisers that you can get where your phone fits into it? You go in a plank position and it's got games on your phone. So it'll be like you're flying a helicopter and you've got to get it through these rings. And in doing that, you're holding yourself up in a plank
Oh,
position, steering right, steering left.
see,
I've been
that I would
intrigued.
consider using, but Facebook generally knows me well enough to not advertise things like exercise. Um, you know,
I get a lot of that stuff since I bought my Peloton, and I post every workout onto Facebook for accountability purposes. It's not oh, look at me and look at what I'm doing. It's more of I need to keep doing this. It's for my health. Every piece of exercise equipment I've ever owned has become like a really expensive clothes hanger over the years until I got the Peloton. There's something about the magic mix for me of gamification, social media aspect, real time metric tracking, long term metric tracking. All those pieces work together with my brain chemistry to get me engaged. It's the first time ever that's happened. So I bought that 7 months ago, and right now I'm 5 to 7 days a week on it. It's not a ton. Sometimes it's just a 20 minute, other times it's 30. Sometimes I'll do a meditation or a weight training heck, I could go out and take a walk now and use the app. I don't have to be on the bike. But I will say so, and I think because of that, I get more of those other types of ads now for things like exercise equipment or Noom, weight loss programs and stuff like that. They've got me all figured out. So
that's really cool. So the Peloton, um, the bike that they sell, I see they've got 4 different packages. It's all the
excuse
same
me.
bike. They just add
It's all the same bike.
more trinkets and trash along with it.
Yep.
So you love the bike, it sounds like.
I love the bike, and you get unlimited users on a single account. So my girlfriend Susan and her son Gary both have accounts. Now, since Gary's in school and not around that much until COVID-19, he's not riding the bike. He's using the account and casting it to our TV so he can do like weightlifting and, core exercises and things like that. But Susan and I both have the shoes, which you need to clip into the bike. And other than that, I didn't buy.
I've got extra wide feet. I like no joke.
Yeah, I think they can hook you up.
I got a 6E shoe, man.
Well, the other thing is, as long as it's a standard clip shoe, you don't have to buy a Peloton shoe. I think you could go to any sporting goods shop, and get what you need. Provided the shop is open. Are they essential or non-essential? Who knows? So, but I enjoy it.
I think if I were going to get one of those bikes for my house, I would want the kind where I don't need shoes. I can just sit on it and ride the bike.
Or watch TV. That's good too.
Yeah.
This has a just ride feature, or you can ride through scenic rides all over the world. And it's actually an interesting thing. I thought, because I love streaming and binging some shows. So it's like I'm watching, I don't know, I'm catching up on Ozark, let's say. I'm like, oh, let me watch an episode of Ozark while I'm riding the bike. And I can do it, but the bike ride is way, way, way harder than when I'm following one of the trainers, because the trainers can motivate me to do some hard ass riding. When I'm watching a show, my concentration is split. So like my brain functions differently, and I can't get as enthused to put in the same kind of effort on the bike. Huh. So it's just, for me, it's about learning what works, for my style.
Really cool, man.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
Well,
so,
Michael,
I'm sorry, go on.
Please, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to ask you about your client base, since, I don't know a lot about your MSP.
Oh, that's okay. You don't need to.
I tell you, but I have to kill you.
So, I have a small number of endpoints that I manage these days because I'm focused more on doing this stuff.
Okay.
I find more value and excitement and joy doing this stuff. So that's kind of where my heart is. So, I've got some clients. one of them is not essential, and I had to help him out with, he had to lay everyone off, which that
Yeah,
sucks.
it
Um,
does.
so yeah, I had to help him out with some stuff like that, and giving him a little bit of a discount. And we've been together for almost a decade, so I told him, man, we've been together long enough. Money should just not be an issue. Like, and I don't mean like, I know you're loaded, so give me your money. I mean like, I care about you and your business. Like, let's just figure out how to make this work. So he loved that I said that, and he's like with me even more now than ever, just because of
That's
the way I
great.
approached it with him. So all of my other clients, landscaping and legal and that type of stuff, like all the other clients are essential or essential enough that they're able to just work from home. But I mean, an interior designer, a high end, super expensive interior designer, that gets tough. And I really feel for him, because
Hmm.
I mean, when you've got clients like Cleveland Cavaliers basketball players, uh, even those guys don't want to spend money. They're not playing. Like, why would they want to spend money? They
Right.
don't, for as far as
No,
they're
I'm with you.
concerned, they might not ever play basketball again. Like, oh man.
It's a challenging time. Where do you envision this going? The work that you're doing with videos and communicating via these mediums. If it could go exactly the way you would like it to, what outcome would you want to achieve?
Outcome I would want to achieve is to be able to successfully do at least 15 interviews like this a month, and to just have a boatload of people that subscribe and watch. So that way YouTube can pay me some money. I can entertain and educate people, and it's a win for everyone. And obviously, guys like you come on, and you also help with the education because it's guys like you that are giving the answers, right? So that's the goal. Is I'm wanting to figure out how to make this a win for everyone.
Hmm. Well, I looked at some of the other folks you have on, and obviously you've had folks representing a lot of vendors and tool sets, and those are very informational and terrific content. Um, I provide a different kind of content, and I think the stuff that interests me, I like to know what makes people tick. I like to know what are the things that people bring to their businesses that they think are unique or
Mm-hmm.
differentiators. And it could be tech, it could be something technical. Um, but it's like Robin says, you're never going to get an MSP to say, we give sucky service.
Right.
We're all the best. We're all the best.
We all are.
That's not
Well,
a difference. It's not a differentiator. We're
and
all
that's
the
the
best.
thing, like we keep trying to say, oh, we're not a commodity because we do something special, but we don't. We're all providing the same service using almost the same tools. Um, so really the only thing that we have that's different is ourselves. And if we're smart, the other thing that we're going to have that's different is going to be our documentation, in the sense that we actually do it.
Hmm.
There's been some companies that don't,
Well, I think there are
unfortunately.
differentiators. I actually don't know that I agree. I think there are some real differentiators out there. I think the better companies that I see in the space are focusing on value, and it's value that goes outside of standard tech services. Because I think you are right. The solution stacks are not all that different. You're using this tool versus that tool. You're At the end of the day, that's not what the clients care about. Uh, but if you can come to the table and demand and deserve a seat at the table to talk about strategy to answer difficult, to be a subject matter expert, to be focused on one or more particular verticals where you are a subject matter expert, then you truly do differentiate yourself. And I was listening to, I was having a conversation, or Chris Weiser was giving a talk about how he was helping one of his clients who was, I don't want to butcher his story. You should probably have him on if you haven't already.
I'll reach out to him.
But it had to do with, let's just say it was a medical practice. And he was going through the process of doing the market research interviews and asking the office administrator, what's your biggest challenge? Because as an IT provider, managed service provider, it's really easy to come in and lead with our tool set. And it doesn't have to be the particular tools we use. It's the mindset that we have because we're techies. And even though I fired myself 17, 18 years ago, I still have that mindset. Look at this great tool we have. This is a great tool. It goes in your pen, and once you put it in your pen, you screw it in, and you put this thing on here, and it writes. And ink comes out of it, and that's my tool. It's different than this tool because this tool is too fat, and all that. But here's the thing. So the thing is that everyone's got their different tools. They've got their different pens. They don't matter, right? What matters is that the good business strategist can speak to the problem that the client is having, even when that problem has nothing to do with technology. So to get back to the example I heard from Chris, he found out that the number one concern that a lot of these doctors' offices were having were cancellations. People canceling appointments pre-COVID-19. People are canceling appointments. How do we handle that? And he worked with whoever the MSP was, and I'm not a client of Chris's, so I'm not giving him a shout out from personal experience, but I have heard him talk, and I know people who use him. And so his story was, how do you become the subject matter expert? Well, let's write a paper that says, the top X ways to get clients to keep their appointments and do the. In other words, you write stuff and you generate content to the problem. The problem does not have to be technology. You're just differentiating yourself in the space as a subject matter expert in the area for the niche that you're serving, the target market that you're going after. And if you can do that, then you've got a differentiator. Once you've got those differentiators, your unique selling proposition, and you can back it up, and then, of course, your tool set is good, you're really good at servicing the client, now you can charge more money. That's kind of the one-on-one approach. Yeah, charging more money, providing more value. Money's just a tool. Charging more, providing more value, being able to pay yourself more, being able to invest more in the tools, being able to invest more in your people, compensate them well. I mean, these are goals we should all have. And if you're chasing the lowest dollar value, commoditized versions of IT services, it's just hard to get there. So that's been the struggle. I've seen things from a money-centric view for many, many years due to my own money fears and scarcity mentality at times. And it's really eye-opening to see people who do it differently, who have a different approach. Look, we just signed 2 days ago, maybe 3, we just signed a security assessment, an audit for a software company that got hit with a pretty significant attack a few weeks ago. And the amount of money was crazy. Now, we're subcontracting it out. We're very good at providing a good solution stack, and our clients almost never have had problems in the past 6, 7, 8 years with regards to ransomware or any other kind of breaches because we're really, really proactive, and that's all well and good. But we're not the highest end security experts. So I brought Al's company in. They're the ones actually performing it. But what was eye-opening to me is that the company that we were selling to on this, and they were a referral from a good friend of mine, they signed like that. We did our discussion and presentation, value proposition. They know they have the pain point. They know what they need to maintain credibility with their clients. And it was a crazy huge amount of money compared to what I would normally feel comfortable charging. But in my conversations with Al and going through the process, I learned that, well, wait a minute. I mean, this is the most important thing to a client right now. Their whole integrity is staked on this. They just had a breach. They got to make sure that they've plugged those gaps, not just technically, but in terms of their integrity. And they will write the check to do that. And they're going to get a shit ton of value from us and from Al's company. Through us, we're going to be there as the liaison and shepherding the process along. They're going to get a ton of value from it. So it's not like, oh, we're just charging them. No, we're delivering a real high end. And that all comes from just changing the mindset. Does that make sense? Like
Absolutely.
Thinking differently about how we can provide our services. And we'll probably come away with an MSP contract at the end of it too, because there's going to be some gaps there. There's going to be things they need that they don't have. And that's going to be right in our wheelhouse. And we're also going to be gaining knowledge so that we can offer a higher brand of these services ourselves as time goes on. So that was the spiel. Sorry about that, but
don't be
that's
sorry,
a passion
man.
point for me.
I'm
sorry.
You're dropping knowledge bombs. Yeah. So
I like that. That's going to be my new, you know what? I'm going to do that on LinkedIn. Michael Einbinder-Schatz. I drop knowledge bombs.
Do it.
What do you think?
I go for it.
Do you need a credit?
I don't think I made that word up or that phrase up. So, I mean, you're fine. And if I did make it up, I will give you a perpetual license to use it.
My man.
Yeah. So the last thing I want to talk to you about before we part ways here, because I don't know about you, but I'm ready for dinner. The last thing I want to talk to you about is you posted on Facebook shortly before we got on this call, and you said, you're getting yourself ready to be on the podcast, and you had to put on pants.
Yeah, that was a joke. Are you asking if I'm really wearing pants?
I'm not going to ask for proof.
Yeah, I'm wearing pants.
Oh, no.
Earbud fell out. No, I'm wearing pants.
Okay.
Of course I'm wearing pants. But no, I was actually out. I had to have lab work done today. But it's that whole thing about no one has to wear pants anymore. They're working. They're not wearing pants. Blah blah blah. So I just
I ask because I've got my nice polo on, but I don't have an easy way to show it. I'm wearing basketball shorts.
Nice.
Okay.
Cavalier? Are they Cavalier shorts or?
No, they're just like cheap, off-brand. I think my wife got them for me from Aldi, like the real cream of the crop basketball shorts. So yeah,
hey,
I look good where I need to look good.
Amen, brother.
Except for the whole hair thing. I can't wait until Ohio lets us have a freaking haircut, man. I'm
thinking of buying some clippers. Thinking of buying some clippers and just doing a 4, all the way.
I've got clippers, but this is what happened when I tried to do a fade. It's very noticeable.
It's not bad.
It's awful. Don't try to sugarcoat it.
You're going to see a lot worse, believe me, when people come out of their homes. It's all good.
Yeah.
We're doing the best we can.
In my basketball
it's going to be nice
shorts.
to get back at some point and get haircuts. I agree with you, but I think I can deal with getting some clippers in the meantime.
Yeah, so that's where I'm at. Like, I can't. So there's two things I can't wait to do. And I'm going to ask you what two things you can't wait to do here in a second. The two things I can't wait to do are get a haircut. No, that one I know I need to do, but no, I think I'd rather like hang out with a bunch of friends and hug them more than a haircut.
Mm-hmm.
Get wings. I want to go to a restaurant and get some delicious, freshly fried wings. I've tried like baking up some wings. They're just not the same, Michael. It's just no good, man.
Um, I
In fact,
think.
I think I might
Go on.
like order some wings and go pick them up in a little bit. It's bad.
Well, that you could do. You could do that. There's nothing wrong with that. I want to. The second thing you said is the number one thing. I'm a hugger. I am missing seeing people and being able to have physical contact with them. There's that saying that you need 4 hugs a day to survive, 8 for something else, and 12 to thrive. I wish I could remember what the exact saying is, but there's only so many hugs my girlfriend and I care to give each other, and we've been together 10 years. So, yeah. All kidding aside, I'm a social creature. I love seeing my friends. I look forward to having friends over to barbecue and swim and relax and just talk, having Zoom meetings, virtual happy hours. It's a wonderful thing. I've coordinated a virtual happy hour for my high school alumni. It's not official. It's just a group of us that all graduated around the same time. I went to a very small school in Brooklyn, and they're wonderful. I feel giddy at the end of those because I'm seeing friends. In some cases, I haven't seen them in years. In other cases, they haven't seen each other in 40 years. I mean, it's awesome, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing as being in person. So for me, it's that, and probably going out to the movies. I'm a film guy. I love going to a big theater. I know we all have 50, 60-inch screens now, but, not the same thing.
It's not. I mean, there's something to be said about a $27 tub of popcorn.
Yeah. Unlimited refills, certainly.
That's
if you're paying $27, you should get the unlimited refills, along with the 64-ounce pitcher trough of soda. Ugh.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You're making my mouth water. All right, so Michael, I'm going to leave you with a quote because I think it bothered you enough that you need to hear it. Family therapist Virginia Satir once said, "We need 4 hugs a day for survival. We need 8 hugs a day for maintenance. We need 12 hugs a day for growth."
Virginia Satir. Okay. That's cool. That is cool. So you looked that up.
I did
on that interweb thing. That's really cool. See, I'm not technical. I don't even know what it's called. That inter thingy.
It's on the book face. I just Googled. I just binged it.
You use the Google? You use the Google?
I use Alt Vista. What's that one called?
Wow, that was before you were born, I think. I think that was before Al Gore even invented the internet.
That's possible. Yeah. Michael, I really appreciate you coming on here today, man.
Hey, man, it was my pleasure. It was a lot of fun, and stay safe. And
thank you. You too.
Yeah.
Anytime you want to come back, you just let me know.
What are you doing tomorrow at this time, man? Anyway, I love you, man.
Spending time with the kids because it'll be Saturday, Michael.
That's right. The days all blur, don't they?
Yeah, it's either going to be Saturday or Tuesday. I'm not really sure. Every day feels like Mondays right now.
Thanks for having me on, man. It was great.
Absolutely. Take care.
All right, you too.